Hello and welcome to our Education for All video series, where we'll be talking to a range of wonderful people about their experience. Education for All is a campaign to help break down the accessible barriers within the education system and to ensure everyone has a future that they deserve. You can find all of our information and campaign pack at www.horlicks.com. Today, we're joined by Nisha Mistry, who is the Inclusive Competitions Coordinator of Homefield College. Nisha, welcome.
Hello.
Hey. Would you like to start by introducing yourself and telling our audience around your role at Homefield College and how you got into that?
Okay, so my name's Nisha. I am the Inclusive Competitions Coordinator at Homefield College. I started out here as a maths tutor. So my background is in maths. I did maths as a degree. I taught in mainstream school. I was teaching maths, but it just wasn't for me, and I just wanted smaller groups so I could really focus. Um, and then I found Homefield College. It's a beautiful place to work. Um, joined here 2 years ago as a maths specialist tutor. Um, and my role back a year ago was about making maths more accessible for students, because a lot of students, they see maths and they do not want to get involved in it. So it's about making making it accessible, making it uh more adapted to real life. That's about what it is in I believe in the specialist college, because you use your maths every day, but it's about knowing when and where you're going to be using it. And when it comes to more complicated maths, when you're going up to a level 2, it's trying to relate it to jobs that you could potentially have that could relate to those areas of maths as well.
Is your learning very? Is it computer based or is it theoretical? Or because you say that you put it into kind of the job world,
Yeah.
is it is it almost conversational based when you're learning as well?
Yeah, so it's a bit of both, really. We try and keep it uh, online as much as possible, if we can. Just because when you have those lower levels and it's about reading the questions, for example, you do have that technology online to be able to have it read out for you, increase the size or change the background to make it more accessible. And you can do that quickly online as opposed to worksheets, for example. Um, and you can find websites where it breaks it down nice and easy, um, and make it more user friendly. I mean, I know, so we've worked with a couple of websites where you go online and you can actually be taught the material online via video, and then you answer questions online, which is completely fine. But having that information where it's broken down quite easily makes it easier to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this year, I have started my role as an inclusive competitions coordinator, which has been quite different. I still do my maths as well, but now it's just about getting students into some external and internal competitions, um, just so they are, the feel of a competition. When you are entered into a competition, you get that buzz
Mm-hmm.
of wanting to win. So you're striving for excellence. You're not striving just to pass an exam or do whatever vocational subject you are doing. You are striving to be the best at that. And that's why we introduce competitions.
What type of competitions do you take part in?
So, um, we've been involved in the Disability Athletics Championships, so the sporting competitions, world skills competitions, which is my bag, as you say it, and that's what I really concentrate on. So, world skills is it's for the whole of the UK. And they have lots of different kinds of competitions in vocational subjects, but they also have inclusive competitions as well. So foundation, hairdressing, for example, that's what some of
Hmm.
our students are doing here. So they're studying hairdressing here at a level 1, and I've entered them into the competition for World Skills, where they do an online competition. If they get through to that, then they get through to the national qualifiers, and it's all online based as well. So it takes that pressure out of going
Hmm.
somewhere to compete, and it gives our students the opportunity to be able to compete in these kind of competitions. They also do cooking competitions, they do motor vehicle. There's lots of different vocational subjects that you can do. Um, and then once you're successful in the national qualifiers, you go over to the final, which this year is in Manchester. So hopefully, if our girls get through to the finals, we'll be going into Manchester in November.
Wonderful. Oh well,
Yeah.
fingers crossed. I hope all goes well for you all. That'll be brilliant.
Yes, yes.
So, how do you feel digital accessibility? How do you feel? How crucial do you believe it is within the education sector?
I think it's really, really crucial because everything is online now. We have phones. We have the technology in the palm of our hands. It's just about, can we use it? Do are people aware of what there is out there? Because I have ADHD myself, so I'm always looking for tools to help me just on day-to-day life. And if when you do apply for access to work, which a lot of students will potentially be going into work, you are given those tools. So if you don't know how to use them and you haven't used them through education, you're going to struggle to use them in employment. So I like to get my students using these tools in the lesson if I
Do you have
can.
any? Yeah, do you have any recommendations of tools that you use with the students that would be your kind of your go-to tips?
So immersive reader is on most applications, on Word, on websites, where it reads out the text for you or highlight the bit of text that you want to read out, so you can see it specifically, and it will have a line going underneath it, so you can almost follow what it's saying along with the writing, and you know you know exactly where you're going. So that's a really, really good tool. And mind mapping tools as well. Um, Currently, we don't have them in college at the moment, but that's something that we're working towards getting. But mind maps are fabulous tools. Like, it helps you organize your ideas, because sometimes as a person with ADHD, your ideas are everywhere. It's about getting them all on one piece of paper, and it helps you kind of build on your knowledge as well. So what I use it for in maths in particular, because there is so many different topics that you need to learn for maths, it's about visualizing what you are learning. So you'll start off in the middle with maths, and then you'll branch out. Well, what does maths involve? I need to add, I need to subtract, I need to times, I need to divide, and then building on those blocks. So with multiplication, for example, you can go into doing percentages, and if a student can see that visually, they're more likely to remember. And it's also having that like prompt there available to say, oh yeah, well, I've already learned this, so this is how I'm building on it. Seeing that visually is really, really helpful. It helps a lot of our students.
Is this a tool you normally use on a computer or an iPad, or is it
uh,
a physical one?
so the mind mapping tool is just a physical tool at the
Hmm.
moment, but there are online mind mapping tools available.
Wonderful. It's always good to hear how different people use different tools. So this is,
Yeah,
it's always fantastic to hear, and it certainly sounds like it's helped you kind of organise your thoughts and how you kind of
yeah.
move forward on that one. That's brilliant.
And there's also as well visual timers, because as someone with ADHD or autism, you can be time blind. So 5 minutes, you're not going to know how long 5 minutes is unless you can visually see that. And having those tools on your phone, if you've got an iPhone, you've got a visual timer on there. Um, and there's other tools like that as well. But for example, on an iPhone, if you have a visual timer and you know that you've got 10 minutes to do these set of questions, you can set your visual timer and you can see exactly how much time you've got left. So that's really helpful.
Okay, fantastic.
And we encourage our students to use these tools because later on in life, that's what you're going to be using. Yeah.
Have any of the students come to you with kind of new ideas of tools and apps at all?
Yes, they have actually. Yeah. Yeah. So some of our more able students, um, when they get introduced to these tools, it is life changing. If you're not able to read, for example, you're not able to access the world, but being shown something like that, where you could literally scan over a piece of text and it will read it out to you, that is incredible for someone who really struggles.
No, that's brilliant. You talk through this. Have you seen any barriers throughout your career that's prevented students from having an equal learning experience due to bad accessibility or bad
Um,
tools, really, as well?
well, I would say in mainstream schools where, you know, we're seeing more and more people being diagnosed with neurodiverse skills. Well, I don't know
Hmm.
what the word is. But so these tools for neurodiverse people, you're more likely to use them in a specialist college, but in a mainstream class when you've got 30 students, it's a bit harder to use that
Hmm.
because you can't individually show everyone what tools they need to help them. And it's about giving them time to use those tools and find out what works for them, because it's not one size fits all when it comes to accessibility tools.
No, and I'm assuming is this one of the reasons why you moved from mainstream to specialist schools on that side as well?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I like the fact that in a specialist school you can your the learning approach is different for every single student, which it should be because
Mhm.
everyone learns in a completely different way. And in mainstream you just don't have the time to do that for every single student that you have.
My family are from a teaching background. I'm not, but it's I always one of the key common factors that I'm hearing is about planning before a lesson and how intensive that can be outside of the classroom.
Hmm.
How did you find it when you were teaching maths within the specialist schools? Because did you say you're getting lessons for same lesson but in different ways for multiple people? Clearly,
Mm.
that's an absolute talent. How did you manage your kind of lesson plans to get that ready for everyone?
Well, I like to have everyone on the same topic, for example, but for example, with some of my ADHD learners, I'll give them information in smaller chunks, or I'll give them a task list so they know exactly what they're expecting, how much time you're spending on each thing. And it's quite easy to break down once you do it from the beginning. Do you see what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So, from a task list, it might be a set of instructions that they need to follow, a method that needs writing down as a set of instructions, because that's sometimes how your brain works. You can't see a load of information and just process it. You need it broken down. And there's so many tools out there that do that as well,
Mhm.
like Goblin tools or Perplexity AI. I use them quite often as well.
Okay. Fantastic. I mean, it's a bit easier within Homefield. I'm assuming there's a lot of knowledge when it comes to having the tools, having the accessibility knowledge. Would you say that that needs to be more part of the curriculum for the mainstream side of schools to help bring the accessibility journey on, to bring that awareness up of tools?
Yes, definitely. I think everyone should be shown these tools from the beginning and given the time to use those tools and see what works for them.
Mhm.
Because I know some of my students have come from prior colleges that have had that, accessibility. They have been introduced to those accessibility tools and now have come over to Homefield and are still using those tools. It's about
Brilliant.
giving people their own independence to
Yeah.
make those decisions and, have see what's out there for them.
It's good. Yeah, we always find it has to be woven in from the start. I mean,
Yeah.
we're developers, and we try and do the same from our projects. But it has to be the same. That learning has to, you have to be learning the education. You have to be learning how we can weave that in to make
Yeah.
that, like you say, more achievable for everyone, more well known, more knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Sometimes
big factor.
sometimes you need to be reminded as well. Having a, a task sheet or, you know, um, a mind map where you've got all your topics on there, what you're learning. Sometimes you need to be reminded of what you've learned already. So
Mhm.
having that is fantastic, a way of remembering what you have already learned. So when I start off my lessons from September, I will definitely be starting with that, and hopefully we'll have a mind mapping tool in by then. Um,
Amazing.
yeah.
Brilliant. Have you seen improvements over the years? Again, it's quite hard going from mainstreams to Homefield. You're going to see that exponential curve. But have you
Mm.
seen? Did you see at least an improvement starting to happen when it came to accessibility within the education sector, especially around digital?
I would say it's fairly new. I mean, I've only seen it really in the last year since I've been here.
Hmm.
I mean, the introduction of AI kind of hit everyone really, really quickly. So since joining from September and being shown all these tools and then working with my students, and I've seen an increase of independence from our students where they're not so much coming to you straight away to get an answer. They're they've got those tools now to look back and see what they've done prior, or you know just being able to do it for themselves. There's a lot more of that this year than there what has been before.
Do you have a virtual learning environment for students to go online when they can to bring content down, or is this purely in classroom based learning?
I mean, this year we're introducing Century, which is an online platform for maths and English. I mean, there's lots of different subjects on there, and that tool uses AI to work out what information the students need to learn in order to do the next thing. So it's a very clever tool online. It's really user friendly. You go on there, you do an online test, and once you've done that test, it kind of evaluates where you're where you need to work on, areas of where you need to work on, and then it will present that to you. So it has this thing called nuggets where you kind of do like a nugget of a lesson, a small 10-minute lesson, and having that bite-size amount as well is really, really helpful. If you present a whole topic of all these different things, then it's overwhelming. But if you're only given a small amount and you're building on that, you can see, well, it's easier for anyone to see that, isn't it? It's easier for anyone to work with, and you can visually see it, which is why it's so great. That's all in
That's wonderful.
particular. Mm.
That's brilliant. Um, so if you took all of your knowledge that you're getting from Homefield and everything you've learned so far, and went back to kind of earlier times, is there anything that you would like to see in place when you were there to help move inclusivity forward within mainstream and specialist school education?
I'd like to see that for all students, whether you have been diagnosed or not, to have those. to be introduced to these tools at the beginning of a school year, so then they know what there is out there before they go in, so it's less overwhelming.
Yeah.
So if that was introduced, for example, for me, if that was introduced to me before my education journey every single year, then that would be such a benefit, because I'd be able to see clearly what tools I could use to help me.
No, I think
If
that's brilliant.
you're not aware of it, you're not going to use it. So
No, this is true. It's like we were saying regarding applications. It's interesting when students come to you and say, "Well, I've got this idea. Can I try that?" And just to build that knowledge up for everyone, teaching and students,
yeah,
it's going to help drive it forward.
and it's also empowering for our students, knowing that they have those tools, and that's
How do you
what we
find? Oh, sorry.
sorry, that was I was going to say that's what we're striving to do, is to empower. Being a post 16 college as well, these students are going into adulthood, so those tools they're going to take with them, it's going to benefit them when they leave here.
How do you find confidence levels when like that new tool has been found that people are enjoying? Does it go up because they can see you? Well, you can see the independence, and they can too.
Yes, definitely. I mean, if they couldn't read something before, sometimes it's quite disheartening when you see, you can't read something, or you're going out and you've got a food menu and you can't understand the food menu, but instead of asking someone, being able to do it yourself with your phone, scanning the information and having it read out to you. I mean, that's giving someone independence.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to hear your journey and how everything's gone, and especially how the competition's coming up and coming. So, Nisha, it's been wonderful to talk to you. Thank you very much. All the best for the competition, and I
Thank
really
you.
hope we get to hear that you had a nice trip to Manchester with some more success coming your way too.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.